Yo, 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 no maniacs. What's good? Good afternoon. This is Nomad Live, all Bears all the time, in conjunction with Sports Zone Chicago and the
Yeah, yeah.
SuperBack, Shawn, Sierra. And we got a lot to talk about today. Of course, the thumbnail says, does Magic have one more trick? And he's going to probably need one, I'm assuming, right about now, based on the way things are being spit out to the media, you would say, because the coach is talking, and so is the GM right about now. And there's a bunch to talk about in regards to some of those statements I heard today. I got a few written down, and we're going to discuss them. And before we get all the way into it, thank everybody for being at the show. And I'm seeing a whole bunch of names over there, but I'm gonna let Kedz do his thing. But before he does, man, make sure everybody lets us know where you're tapping in from, especially if you're from overseas. Please make sure you let us know where you're from. Go ahead, kid.
What's cracking, No Maniacs? Good to hear from Nomad and where we're headed today. Great to see you guys all living it up in the chat, keeping it active, keeping the chat civil and angry and awesome and happy. All the above. Let's continue all that. I'll give some shout outs to the folks who are with us right now. Our guy, number one, No Maniac Plank, number one female No Maniac, Remy, in the building, just representing with us. Jan Hammer, Derek Carter, Jose Sanchez from the PR from Puerto Rico. Oh, everybody's sleeping. It's still early on the show. We'll get there. Evie Bear Down Davis, Nathan Campbell. Who else we got? Squeegee, Creighton Wilfong. You know what, Creighton? You've been in and around for the last little while. Thanks for representing and rocking with us. Billy Ocean when the going gets tough. FFG Style, Nathan Campbell. Anyone else? Miguel's Saavedra. I'm probably butchering that last name, but it was worth a shot. And our guy Brian Hendren on the wheels of steel on the back, keeping things real. Armando Jr. And I assume Patty's floating around there somewhere. What's up, Patty? What's up to all you guys? Brett Coleman as well. King Booker World representing with us. Bishop, what do you got to say, brother? Gonna be a show.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will. Good afternoon, no maniacs and sports zoners. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Since Kids has already addressed everyone in the chat, good afternoon to all of you. But more importantly, we have some ones that aren't able to get into the chat that I'd like to also acknowledge, which is my boy Stuart and Sophie out in Florida. My boy V Dub out there in Detroit on that truck right now. To my most notable ones that's always paying attention. You know who you are. I'm going to keep you nameless today, but more importantly, to my SIU folks and everybody else out there. And, oh, by the way, a number one fan for the Chicago Bears that I know of, his name is Milt on the west side of Chicago. What's going on? My man, Shawn, what's going on today, Papa?
Man, let me tell you, beautiful day. It's terrific tequila and Taco Tuesday today, boy. So
Taco
Tuesday. Get some tacos in with some tequila. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm in for the sauce. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Me too. Me too.
A lot of things happening down at the owners meeting down in Orlando with the land of big ears. You know, Mickey and Minnie and all them, and a lot of good stuff coming from his Ryan Poles tipped his hand a little bit. We're gonna find out. We're gonna talk about that. Ryan Poles, is he not happy about RG3's comments? We're going to talk about that too. Does Magic have one more trick up his sleeve? Woo! We're going to find out. Talk about that too. Let's get it cracking.
All right, man, because you know what, man? The first thing we have to talk about is my least favorite subject right about now, because quite frankly, I'm just tired of hearing about it, because I think they really need to make a decision here and stick to it. But I know that Kevin Warren is playing a game of chess right now. He's playing not even chess right now. It's a game of chicken, and he's playing it with Arlington Heights, because he's now saying he's committed to, getting shovels in the ground right here on the lakefront. But we talked about this the other day, and my opinion on it is I don't see it because of the infrastructure problem. I don't see it. He's talking about, Shawn, you know the area a lot better than I do. There's a museum in the area. I can't remember what museum that is, but there's a museum in the area that he's talking about digging. But they sound like they're committing themselves to doing this lakefront job, man. And I just, for the life of me, man, I can't see it, man. I really can't, man. It's just too much going on. It's just too many things have to fall in place and come exactly, into the fold at the right time. And it's just an infrastructure thing for me that I think is if it's going to be any kind of setback or anything that gets in the way of this whole thing, if they really want to do that, it's going to be the infrastructure part.
It is. I still think it's possible. I know it would be. It would. I'm not saying it'd be easy. It would cost some stuff, but it'd be a lot easier. I still think that it can still be done.
By the way, he said he wanted to do it this year, Shawn.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, the Museum of Science and Industry, but you can still access the Museum of Science and Industry without affecting. Museum of Science and Industry is a little further north than where they're talking about putting shovels in the dirt. All right, so it's either north of Soldier Field, the museum. So there's what's it called? It's not Waldron Drive. It's I can't think of the street that you could turn off of Lakeshore Drive and get to the museum campus. It wouldn't affect that because it's still so much further south. So we'll see. He is playing a game of chicken. All right, and we're gonna find out. Do they really want the Arlington Heights things? He's just using this for leverage. If he is, he's going at it hardcore, man. He's going at it hardcore, and he keeps talking about the backdrop of the city. Chicago was blessed with the beautiful lakefront, the skyline, and to put the new Soldier Field or whatever the stadium would be called, because it'll probably be sold to the naming rights. Whatever it is, would fit perfectly according to Kevin Warren. Man, this is why they brought him in. This is why they brought him in to negotiate and get this thing done. So hopefully it can get done soon. If it's the Arlington Heights thing, man, have them come off the taxes. And if not, and we got to build in Chicago, bump it. Let's do it.
Keith, you are also very familiar with the area, and I just don't, man. I just keep seeing construction and infrastructure problems like crazy. I think people really think they want something until they get it. I mean, people that live in and around the area, you can just imagine, what kind of headaches that might be. This is a busy area, and you got to shut all that down to kind of do the stuff that he wants to do. I don't know. I don't see it playing out very well, to be honest with you. But what do you think, Keith?
Let me switch hats for a moment here. This is what I honestly think. I understand what he's trying to do. I agree with you with regard to some infrastructure concerns. But more importantly, the citizens of Chicago are already on the hook for millions of dollars with the previous renovation of Soldier Fields that has yet to be paid in full. Now you want to, I understand that the team said that they're going to pay for this stadium.
$2 billion, only $2 billion.
Only $2 billion. So let's be real. Where's the other money coming from? Somebody's got to be on the hook for it. So I get it, Bears fans in the city of Chicago and the suburbs. You guys want this in the city? Are you willing to pay that tax dollar for it and still pay for the other bill on Soldier Fields? What I think is he's doing is leveraging everything against Arlington Heights, because essentially this will set the McCaskey family and the Bears organization up for generations to come if they make the Arlington Heights move, because now they become landowners and they can now lease out different buildings as they build this megaplex that's going to bring in more and more revenue to help them be able to pay for free agents and players in years to come if they're thinking business-wise. And I think that's the way he's playing it, just to continue to keep his foot on the necks of Arlington Heights, to let them know that and make sure that they're definitely on the hook and don't try to renege once things start moving forward.
Hey, kids,
but
here's what I think is going on. I think there was a number as far as the tax breaks went in Arlington Heights, and whatever that number was and whatever those figures were, I think he's shaking the tree. And he's trying to get to a certain number for his tax breaks, and I think he's playing hardball right now. And I think, virtue signaling exactly what they plan on doing right here on the lakefront is a good, strong move if that's the game that you're playing. Because if you're looking for a certain number, a certain amount, for how many years you get this tax break. It could be a lot of things going on in the dynamics of that negotiation when it comes to a city council and things like that. And so to me, I think that's my mind works like that. I'm thinking, okay, he's always playing ahead of the next move. I think he's trying to shake the tree. And I think they're going to end up in Arlington eventually when they get to the right dollar amount or the length of that tax break, if that makes any sense to you.
It does, and that's kind of what I think's going on too. I think this is just some healthy negotiation. Now, I do have one question about the whole thing, and that is like, so you're playing hardball here. You've already put down a sizable amount of funds with respect to the lot in Arlington. What happens if they don't go to Arlington? What happens if you actually do move forward with the downtown project as opposed to the Arlington project? How do you get out of that, that investment, or do you decide to build something else downtown Arlington that isn't necessarily a Bears stadium, as a for instance, right? I'm not sure what they do with that investment, to be honest with you. I think it might be in their best interest to keep the land, build a casino out there, build some kind of stuff out there, and still get that kind of green from that real estate development out in Arlington Heights, but keep the stadium downtown Chicago like realistically everybody wants. Everybody except for the taxpayers in Arlington Heights, I suppose, is really the best way of putting that. But I'm just interested in finding out what happens with that plot of land and their investment, as the Bears brass is attached to it. But I'm gonna throw that at Keith, man. What do you think?
Lord Crimson, hold on, Lord Crimson, man. I think that he's saying they spent $200 million already. I think it's upwards of 300 and something.
No, it was 196. I want to say.
Was it?
I thought it was 196.
Okay, my bad. I got it wrong then. My bad, Lord Crimson. You're right.
It's good cheese.
So essentially, they do have a couple options, kids.
Mm-hmm.
The option is they can still choose to build the stadium in downtown Chicago and keep the plot of land in Arlington Heights and still build some type of megaplex out there where, again, they'll still be the landowners. They can still lease out everything and make their money that way. However, if you put a stadium out there, along with building of hotels and other businesses and restaurants and things to that nature that you can put out there, it would give them a better return, because essentially you're already in the hole for that land as it is, and now you're going to go deeper in the hole to purchase land to be able to build a stadium in the city of Chicago. If your pocket's that deep, then why you been so cheap with the team all this time?
Wow, that's a whole other question. But like the actual answer to that question is that no, and it's a fair question. The actual answer to that question is that there's been no divestment of any sort by this organization. They haven't invested in anything outside of football, and then we wonder why the coffers are a little bit tight when it comes down to football. Mm-hmm. So I think this is like 50 years late, but it has to happen. The McCaskey, the McCaskey board has to invest in something else outside of football to generate revenue for the organization. And I think Arlington Heights would be a great spin on that, whether they put a stadium there or not. Just develop some land, put some hotels up, put a casino up, some restaurants, like bring some money into the building. You know what I mean? Bring some money into the organization.
Yeah, the thing about that, you can don't forget, you could still build a community in there. I mean, you can get a developer and you could build houses over there.
Yes,
all right,
you can.
So it's just there's a lot of different things you can build. You can build hotels, but the one thing, like, there's not a lot of things in Arlington. Like, people don't travel to Arlington Heights for anything. Like here's the proposed site for Lakeshore Drive. See that the circle is the south park. That's the south lot. All right, that's where the proposed stadium would be. So
it's not large enough.
Oh, I didn't realize Waldron already had his own street.
It does. So it's Waldron. So they're supposed to knock down Waldron, the Waldron deck, which is by Waldron Street, and the south lot. So they have enough space. Yeah, they have more than enough space there. And you can come in through the bottom. If you remove that comment by Illinois Jones, please remove that comment. and we can see. So you
yeah.
can see that you can. There's actually a way you can go. You can get there via trucks can get in there via McCormick Place. There's a place you can go.
Shawn,
Yes.
when you say there's enough space there, let me explain something to you when you come to developing land. And there's terms called like setbacks and different things to that nature that affects the actual dimensions of that land. It looks like it's plenty of land at this moment until you start really building, until your architecture come in and you start realizing what your setbacks are, how far you have to be away from the lake, how far you have to be away from Lakeshore Drive, so on and so forth. Then that land begins to do this. It starts to shrink. So now you don't have the amount of land that you thought you had, where out in Arlington, you have nothing but land to work with. You already know what your setbacks are and everything based off of your proposal that you have for the stadium that you propose that you're going to put out there. See, that's what I'm saying. I understand what Kevin Warren is doing, and it's perfect what he's doing. But this is another question that I have. Chicago's already shown you, the city of Chicago's already shown you what they thought of you, because there's been certain things that they could have done to Soldier Fields that they have yet to do as a landlord. Now you're looking to go into some form of business partnership with them to build this beautiful stadium in the city of Chicago. What is the city of Chicago going to do for you, Chicago Bears, to accommodate you to make sure that you have the proper traffic access, so on and so forth, to really be able to erect this structure and get the optimal use of that area and that land? And I'm just going to be honest, the way the politics are in Chicago and Illinois, period, I question that. I will fault Ted Phillips in something. I think Ted Phillips went into this deal just excited about the land itself in Arlington Heights and got played and overbid it and overpaid for the land. And Kevin Warren's having to clean all that up now, and he's having to tussle with them regarding the taxes, because they were so accustomed to dealing with Ted Phillips. Now they're dealing with somebody that understands real estate. That's what they're finding out now. And he's educating the McCaskies along the way. Kevin Warren is. So this is definitely chess and not checkers. And it'll get done before the end of the year with regard to which direction they're going to go in. But it's going to cost them too.
All right, man. How about this, man? Because I absolutely hate talking about this. I'll just be glad when the decision is made. They stick to it and start digging and pouring some damn concrete, because I'm sick of it. But let's talk about, because we got the Hall of Fame game coming up, which has been announced for August 1st on my mama's birthday, man. And
I thought you were just gonna say, "Oh, my mom, I'm gonna go."
No. You know what? That's gonna be like that game. I think it's gonna be a quarter, maybe a couple of series, depending on what they think of the quarterback they have and how much time they think he needs to really get himself together. But I think that's going to be a showcase for the younger guys for the most part. They'll get the veterans out there for a couple series at best, I think. But that's probably about all you're going to see of the veteran guys. And I'd rather see the young guys anyway. I like to see what we have, whoever they bringing into the building, these new faces. I just like to see what these young rookies and maybe second-year players, how they gel together, man. I'm looking forward to that. What do you think about that, kid?
Yeah, it'll be good to see across the board. I'd like to see the youngsters get out there, but even then, there ain't going to be all that many youngsters, right? There's only 4 picks, so if they put Caleb out there, I'll be surprised. I'll be really surprised. But I'll throw this down to the Bishop. What are your thoughts, bro?
I want to see the young guys. Just put the young guys out there. I don't care. I'm gonna be honest. I don't want to see none of the vets until the 3rd game of preseason. Let's see what these young guys are all about, especially that new young quarterback that's coming in. I want to see him get as many reps as possible. And then, hey, man, let's get to some Bear football in September.
Shawn?
Yeah, I want to see the starters for a series or two. Then literally take off your pads. Take off your pads so there's no chance. Take off your pads. Take off your – hell, even go and shower. All right, in the middle of
Put the street clothes
first quarter. Go back and shower, come out. There'll only be like 50 guys left on the sideline because you got 100 for the preseason. But man, they're in there showering, come out, and it's not even it's not, you're not even going back in. But I would like to see, just like I said, a series or two. If it's 2, 3 and outs, well, then it's 2, 3 and outs, and it's only 6 plays we get to see. But yeah, I definitely want to see the younger guys. I think the whole purpose of it is for the just the celebration of the Bears that are going in. I know Julius Peppers is kind of a hybrid, and he's going in as a Panther most likely. But he did play for our franchise. Steve McMichael, all right, like Junior said, I hope they wear number 76 on their patch on their jersey this year. That would be dope. Because let's not get it twisted. He's not just, he wasn't afforded him the opportunity to go because he was and also ran. He led defensive tackles in sacks when he retired. He led the defensive tackle all-time leader in sacks by a defensive tackle. So this guy was no punk. All right, I hope they do something like that.
As you're saying that, but like that's with Richard Dent on your team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just to put a little bit more perspective on that, right? Like that's crazy.
Mm-hmm. So it would be good. Again, give me 1, maybe 2 series with the starters, and then like I said, get them out. Hell, fly them back. Just get them out. I don't want them hurt. I don't want to just get them playing the uniforms. Nothing. Just get out.
You know what I want to see? I need to see us get into the new century here, man, and get some new damn uniforms. If nothing else, get some damn new socks, man. I'm sick of them striped socks.
You want the damn socks?
I'm tired of them, man.
I'm okay. I'm okay with that.
Those socks are terrible, man. Dude, you talking about 100-year-old socks, man? 100-year-old socks. Man, they think that they've got to get rid of those things, man. Bring them things out for when you want to wear a classic uniforms game. You want to rock that for a Hall of Fame game. I get it. But please leave those things in, save those things for a moment that you rock classic uniforms. Man, we don't need no striped socks every Sunday.
You don't like them, huh? Wow.
Listen to me, man. I'm telling you.
That's how you really feel.
My brother in Christ, Kevin Warren, get rid of them damn socks, man. Get us some new uniforms, man. Get some alterations, something.
No, dude.
We all know what to get Nomad for Christmas, right? Like basically.
Right. Don't get him some striped socks.
Get him bare striped socks, and he'll lose his mind.
Please spare us of those uniforms.
No, those uniforms are classic. Dude. They're dope.
Yes.
Y'all like caught up in nostalgia, man. I want to see something new, man. I'm tired of the same old stuff. We look stale out there. If I was a free agent, that's the first thing I say, man. Let me see the uniforms. They home and away. Nah, I ain't rocking. I ain't doing that.
Man,
everybody extra.
You can't blame self up, bro. Shut your goofy self up, because when you're making $50 million, you probably don't give a damn what color socks you're wearing. Okay, they signed me that this contract. Okay,
watch Game Time closely and watch how many dudes are trying to hide those socks, rolling them down as far as they can so you don't see the stripes. They don't like them, bro. They do not like. I'm cool with the uniforms.
You know what? I'll ask the dudes. I'll ask the guys that.
Please, man.
When I'm in the locker, I'll just say, hey, listen, off the wall question. I know this is really weird. Do you have an issue? I got a guy who wanted to know, do you have an issue with the socks, with the stripes on the socks, on the white socks and on the. And I don't even want to say the word White Sox, even though I'm going Thursday. But I digress. On the White Sox and the Navy Sox, you liked. Yeah, I think he
digressed, y'all. He digressed.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll ask him this year, bro, and I'll let you know.
I'm gonna hold you to that, Sean, man.
Bet.
If I can bend Kevin Warren's ear, man. If we can get rid of them socks, man, I'm gonna be a happy camper, man. If we don't do nothing else but get rid of them socks, man. I'm telling you, man, them socks stink.
Wow.
Socks stink.
Couldn't save Justin Fields. Maybe we can force a socks trade. Anyways,
so what would you want?
Good luck on that mission.
I just want a solid sock, man. The solid socks like everybody else that's into 2024, man. Damn, is that too hard to ask for? Solid colored sock, man. We don't need them stripes every game, man. That looks bogus out there.
You don't even want a bear on the side of the sock,
man. Whatever, as long as it's solid, man. I don't care. I'm just tired of them stripes.
Oh, okay. Jesus.
I digress. I just had to get that out there, man.
I see you're.
For those in the chat, y'all,
therapy, bro.
Hey, everybody in the chat, how y'all feel about the socks, man? Y'all like striped socks or no?
They all caught up in the nostalgia.
What are you doing? I don't think anybody gives a damn about socks. Far my mouth, but I don't think anybody cares. It's funny. It just reminds me of Christmas.
No, there's a lot of people in the chat are saying don't mess with the classic. A lot of people are saying.
People have an opinion.
I got to shake it up, kids. I got to shake it up.
All right, I got zero opinion on this. I'm just letting Nomad go because I'm the type of guy who after years of losing socks in the laundry just came to I just came to a brilliant realization. I went to this one store and they sell like 20. You get 20 black socks for like $7.99.
20 pair or 20 socks?
Pairs, not single socks, but pairs,
okay.
20 pairs of socks, which is just insane. So
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, you know what? I'm just never gonna buy any other socks. I'm just gonna rock black socks, and that's what I'm gonna rock. If one gets lost, who gets lost? Who cares? I got a bunch more.
I did that years ago, bro.
See?
Black socks.
Yep.
Hold on,
They
guys.
don't.
You
You
got
can wear them when they're dirty too.
Guys, you got.
There's a whole song. There's a whole song for it.
You guys got to see this. Jay Sanders sock sponsored by British Knights.
No, that's funny.
That's
Oh
hilarious.
no.
See, people think I'm crazy, but when I go to La Garra or the flea market, that's in English, I'll get those things. So they'll sell black, gray, a package of black, gray, and white socks. It'll be 3 of each, man. And I'll get 2 pairs or 2 bundles or 3 bundles. And just like you said, you mix. Now you got black socks is the same sock, gray socks are the same sock. You ain't got to worry about putting them together. White socks are the same white. It's just mix and match. You ain't got to worry about trying to find socks. Man,
Illinois Jones just killed the chat right there. That's the one.
Hey, Illinois, man, stop playing with me, man.
Oh no, that's too funny.
Oh,
Hey,
Terry Franklin up with the gold toe socks, man. He's a snob, he says.
All
Thanks,
right, man.
thanks for the super chats, Kerry. Now I get it. I get it now.
I done took the whole show off the rails, man. Let me
yes,
go
you
back
have.
to
All
the
about
fans.
some socks, man.
All about them socks, man. I can't stand it, man. I can't lie to you. All right, so Eberflus spoke today, man, and here's the quote. And I can't tell you exactly. This is the exact quote, so I'm kind of paraphrasing this. At the night, he was asked about the 9th pick, guys, and you know he responded to it. We're gonna get a player that helps the quarterback or affects the quarterback. 2 words: either helps or affects. Kids, how does that break down in your mind? What he just said? He kind of that was coded. That was kind of coded, but it breaks down to 2 spots in my mind.
3.
And 3? Oh no, I don't see no 3.
Oh, left tackle.
Tackle, and I see receiver.
Or
DN.
or defensive end, right? So those would be the 3. It's the same 3, right? He played his cards super close to his vest, and then he turned around and he said, we're picking the best player available at that position. I still think they're gonna trade.
I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that, kid. I didn't hear him say he's gonna take the best player available.
That's how he ended that little conversation.
Quarterback or affects the quarterback.
Yeah, he said best player available towards the end of that little conversation. So, like I say, it's one of those 3 positions, either wide receiver. You know, again, my thoughts: left tackle to protect the quarterback because that's what you're finding that high up into the draft, or you're getting a defensive end. And I know they've taken a closer look at Dallas Turner. There has been some looks at Joe Alt, and you know, there's growing speculation between the 2 kids at LSU at this point, Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. But if it was me, and I'll say this one more time, I would trade back a little bit, secure a 2nd-round pick, and then secure yourself a Brian Thomas Jr. I think that's probably the best case scenario that that puts you into the 2nd round to be able to fill one more hole with a high caliber pick. But that's me. That's my thoughts on it. Keith, what do you think?
Well, I would like to see him trade back as well to secure a 2nd-round pick just to make sure they get an extra pick. But more importantly, if they use that pick, I want to see them go get a DN. Because my biggest concern, and I know he's been durable, man, and I'm knock on wood. I want to make sure that we got somebody to back up Mr. Sweat.
Yeah, it's a good
You know
call.
what I'm saying? It's just that simple. I mean, it's so deep in wide receiver. If we don't use a 1st-round pick on a receiver, I'm not gonna lose my grits on it. You know what I'm saying? But I will tell you this: if we don't get a
Hold on,
DN,
man. You got grits?
oh yeah, bro.
You hungry?
Oh yeah.
Kiss my grits. It took a whole nother meaning.
You know, I'm good for coming up with stuff. I create words and sayings, brother. Words and sayings.
straight out of Mel's Diner, bro. We went back to 1984 with that one.
I like what's that? Me TV. I love it.
Hey, Bishop TV, baby. But no, I would like to see them use that if they're going to use the pick, man. Even if they could trade back, just depending on how the draft goes, and they can still get their D in and pick up a second round pick. Whatever they can do, but I want them to get a DN, me personally, because this draft is weak in DNs. So I'm more focused on that position myself. What about you, Shawn?
It's going to be tough for me. It's tough because if they're there, then I think if you're there and you're staring at a Joe Alt and a Malik a Dunze or Neighbors, it's tough. So I think you may have to trade back. Because it's not. I mean, one's already gone. One of the quarterbacks is gone. It's either Jaden Daniels or Caleb Williams is gone with the number 1 pick. All right. So then one of those two guys. All right. Drake May. Maybe JJ McCarthy jumps up in there. All right. And then, Marvin Harrison Jr. All right. And then Donze or Neighbors. That's one of them. Maybe you go get a tackle. Maybe a Joe Alt's there. That's 7 spots already. And now that we're back on the clock because we had the first one, 7 spots. All right. And then we're back on the clock again. I think the best move would be to trade back. But I mean, it's hard to say, man, it's hard to pass on a left tackle that you could plant there for the next 10 years is what you're thinking. I mean, it's not a sexy pick, but God bless it. You know darn well that's going to whoever the quarterback is going to be. My goodness, you got one hell of an offensive line to go with your upgraded receiver, your additions to receiver, your addition to tight end, you're upgrading the running back room. Man, dude, that's and I know I want Neighbors or I want Brock Bauer. There's a lot of different weapons that I want, but damn it, you know as well as I do, it all starts up front, and it don't matter how good you are. Ask Patrick Mahomes, all right, the Super Bowl a couple years ago, all right, against Tampa. Don't matter how good you are, what weapons you got. You can't throw passes from sitting on the turf.
Hey, Shawn, so what I heard was, and I think you'll like this because you can probably imagine how this plays out. Poe said basically when they got back from the owners meeting, they was going to get together and everybody go to their respective rooms. Get the guys that you're going to stand on the table for that pick. The guy, and when you got him, come back into the room and we're gonna have it out right here in front of everybody. And we're going to get to a consensus about where we think we ought to go. And he's ultimately going to have the final say in the matter. But it's going to be fun, I would imagine, to see everybody stand on the table for the guy that they think will help us the most. Quite frankly, I'm 50-50. I believe the receiver class is uber talented. When I say uber talented, I am not over exaggerating. It is crazy. Yeah. And the old tackle class is that much more exciting or more. And so Shawn's argument, it's kind of hard to pass up your bookend left tackle for the next 10 years. And it's also a conundrum you put yourself in because the receiver class will start to diminish a little bit after like the 9th or 10th pick. And so you got a 31 going on 32-year-old receiver. You don't know what's going to happen with DJ Moore, whether he's going to want to sign an extension. You really don't know. You can just assume that you do, and you just hope he does. But there's a conundrum there. And so you have to backfill that spot one way or the other. It's a tricky situation, and I don't think they go wrong at either. I wouldn't be upset if it was a tackle. I wouldn't be upset if it was a receiver. I think both of them are equally needed under the circumstances.
Would you be upset if it was a defensive end?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's not necessarily a need right now as much as I think the talent level at DN comparable to those other two positions I just said, it's like night and day, bro. It's like
play me out a scenario if Sweat goes down. Then
what's that?
Play me out a scenario if Sweat goes down.
Oh, that's a scenario I don't even want to talk about. I'm gonna knock on.
Well, you got to talk about it, though, brother.
It is a real. It's honestly, Keith, when you brought it up, I wanted to chime in on it too. It's a real situation. If he does get hurt, the entire defensive line goes right back to where it was before he joined the team, and that wasn't a very good defensive line. So you know what I mean? If you don't have some kind of a bookend to at the very least replace his spot if he does get hurt, but also add additional pressure when both of them are on the field, the drop off is just going to be that much less. In case of injury, I think that's an important factor to sort of.
Yeah, but you want to go at it this year because next year's DN draft is the edge draft is
because
is
that injury can occur this year just as well as it can occur next year. But if you don't have a stopgap this year and that injury occurs, then there goes the season.
They can get a stopgap. I'm thinking.
Yeah,
well, they haven't done it thus far in free agency.
Early, it doesn't have to be that early. There's some guys that's like most of the really good DNs in the league. They weren't drafted early in the draft. They were drafted later on, mid to late rounds, and were developed. And I just believe this, man. You got later picks. And some guys, if you guys are really good at scouting and you feel good about the development you got inside that building, you can pretty much get that. I think what is that? What is it? What do we have? A 119?
The same you can do at receiver.
You just described receivers.
Let me finish, man. Let me finish.
No, you're already done.
Everybody has their own virtues about who we should draft. I don't think anybody should get upset about it. I'm just saying after evaluating the entire every position.
You got upset about.
I'm just telling you, man. It is when I tell you when you have a coach like Eric Washington. And you see some of those guys that are going to go later. I like our chances getting a DN later on than I do a better receiver or a better offensive tackle. That's all I'm saying.
We got 4 picks, brother. 4.
I know that, man. I know that.
4 picks.
But
okay. I can understand wanting to get the left tackle. I won't argue with you on that one. At that spot. I get it. But a receiver versus a DN, when you know you have a DN drop off significantly as it is in this draft, you really want to take that chance? And I get it that Mr. Washington is a great D coordinator, but let's just be real. You're talking about replacing Mr. Sweat if he happens to go down with a later round pick.
Yeah, but you can say that about it. You can say that about it. Well, you got to replace DJ Moore. You got to replace Darnell Wright. You got to replace the linebackers. You got to replace. I mean, you can't just sit there and say and one guy. I mean, because then you're going to have to try and get a stud at every position, and you just can't do that. You just can't.
To agree to disagree this afternoon.
I guess we will.
Let me jump in with the Bishop here. You have to think about the significance of the edge position, though. The edge position is probably a little bit more important than linebacker. And as I've shown you guys in the past, I mean, everybody's talking about getting a wide receiver. The best wide receivers in the game have usually came from past either late first round or later rounds. And stud edge rushers normally come early in the draft, earlier. And it's a fall off this year. We don't even have anybody on the left side. I mean, on the opposite side of Sweat. Now you can say Walker. Walker does his best work inside. He does his best work inside. Who, D-Rob? You definitely need to, I've said this all along. The value versus importance is definitely a defensive end.
Did you check out any Jacob Martin tape?
Man, and who's that? My mailman?
Okay, I'm just saying before you go poo-pooing on him, check him out.
I ain't gonna poo-poo on him, but nobody knows who that is. You got to know some stuff.
I'm telling you who he is. I'm telling you.
We hope he can contribute.
Okay.
But that's actually the point, Chris, that you're trying to make is whether whether they're looking at and I'm just going to frame this specifically with defensive end. If they're looking at a defensive end, the drop off from a guy who you can count on. Yeah, he's going to go out there and he's going to do damage. He's massive once you get to the second round. And let's just face facts. We don't have a second round pick. After the second round, it's even worse by way of defensive end. I don't know how else they're going to edge rusher, right? Like specifically edge rusher. Hard to find once that second round is over. Marshawn Nealon, maybe like if he's not scooped up towards the end of the second, you might be able to find him maybe in the third, and that's like a maybe. But
Braylon
It's super
Price would
tough.
be maybe another one.
No, he's because there's so few of them, Chris. Braylon Trice is going in the second round. I'll knock on wood. I had to find some wood.
He could.
I
But-
knew. See, go ahead, Chris.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, in my eyes, I'm not that high on Dallas Turner, and he's got you know a lot of things I like about him. He's just a little light. I mean, to me, it's Verse and Latu. Because of their profiles and their length and the ability probably to put on a little more weight and not hurt their bendability or their get off.
Yeah.
So I mean, to me, those are the right guys. It's just not. To me, it's not about just drafting the position. It's got to be the right guy for every, especially when you only have 4 picks.
Well, I knew. Hold on, Kes, because I knew this is because I knew this would happen when we started talking about what Eberflus said with the 9th pick, because everybody has their virtues of what they think they need to do. And nobody, you know, we ain't sitting here trying to tell, you know, like you don't know what you're talking about because I know what I'm talking about better than you. No, that's not what we're doing. Everybody has their own virtues and what
that's exactly what I'm doing.
So, man, hey, listen,
Producer extraordinaire.
The man of God himself. I know more than you.
we're gonna stick a clip in that, man. We'll talk about this a little bit more as we move along, man, because we got like less than 30 days before they're on the clock and have to make a choice. But let's get to a quick station ID, and we'll talk about some more of the stuff on the other side.
Best Chicago Bears content anywhere. Catch Nomad live pregame 1 hour prior to kickoff, and Nomad at night postgame, and every Friday evening at 7 p.m. Central on all the most popular streaming platforms, and only on the Nomad Network.
That is right, everybody. Please make sure you go to Sports Zone Chicago and hit the sub over there. Keep up the good work with my man SuperBack over there in Sports Zone Chicago, and definitely make sure you do it over here at the Nomad Network. If you're new to the channel, you're just starting to view the content, man, we we will really appreciate your support. Let me just say something, get this off my chest, because I'm starting to hear people talking a little bit greasy about the fact that all those guys over there on Nomad Network don't know what they're talking about. They got this whole Justin Fields things wrong, proves they don't know what they're talking about. Let me give you a little history, since you're running your mouth, whether it's a podcaster, whether it's a reporter from the local beat. Go back to before the draft when I was at the bar room, and I'll tell you who got what right then. I pointed out Darnell Wright. I pointed, and this is after a scout told me he's not a fit. I pointed out, or Jervon Dexter, after a scout told me he was not a fit. I pointed out Tyreek Stevens. All 3 of those guys. You don't want to believe me? Go check the Barroom Network and some of the content we created right before the draft. It's out there in the atmosphere for you to see. Check my work. Not only that, we drafted all those guys. More recently, coming into this offseason, no matter what do you guys think they're going to do in free agency. Now, I got pushback from the guys that were on the panel at the time, even Kedz. I was like, they need to get a running back. They need to get a different kind of running back. Okay, no matter, I don't think they're going to spend that kind of money on a running back when they can just draft one. Okay, they need to get a safety. We just got rid of Eddie Jackson. No, they can draft a safety. What did they do? First couple of things they did both of those things. So you want to talk about accuracy while you've got, other podcasters' names in your mouths, and the reporters trying to talk down us because they felt like we didn't know what we were talking about the Justin Fields move. Check the history. Check the rap sheet, homie. Check that out. I did that. So run your mouth all you want to. We get stuff accurate over here more times than not. And so I just had to get that off my chest. I'm just hearing people telling me in my inbox some things that people are saying. Let's get clear about some things, man. Me and this network over here, we've been more accurate than not. So we just put that on the record so everybody understands. But I digress. Let's get to this next point, man, because Poles heard the whole conversation that was had with RG3 in the statement that he made about what Caleb Williams should do in regards to, coming to Chicago or not. He was reportedly, I got a quote here. He was pissed off, and he continued to say that, the past is the past, and he's here to break that cycle. Kids, what do you guys think about all that?
When we have the clip, can we play the clip?
Oh, I don't know if we have it, man. I didn't ask Chris for it.
I think. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Oh,
sorry, Kedz.
No. You can go, man. You seem to be right into it.
No. I was just seeing if we had the clip. That's all.
Okay. All right. Geez, I don't know how much of that cycle he's broken. That remains to be seen, guys. Like I hear what he's I hear what he's saying, and this also sort of harkens to some of that whole, receipts portion that you were just sort of going through. If I was a mind reader, I could sit here and say that I was 100% accurate, and then maybe I would be. I'm not. This is always going to be an exercise in speculation, really, to take a look and see where the Bears can go with these things, right? And Poles has made his decisions. I'm going to be completely frank and say that I wouldn't have made the same decisions. About that simple. I'm not Ryan Poles, though, so my opinion only matters as much as it does. Right, he's going to make the decisions that he feels safe, and the decisions that he feels support his position within the Bears organization long term, as well as what he feels is best for the overall growth of this squad. Now, in my opinion, I believe that things should have been done to fill those holes and provide depth, and that should have been. That should have been the linchpin or the focus of this offseason. And then you can make major swings and tweaks after. He did it the opposite way. Right? So am I angry about that? Do I feel any kind of way about it? I don't. All I can say is Ryan Poles did what he felt was the best move for him and the organization, and I'm going to follow him and support him as he goes through. Mind you, if we're talking about the cycle, there's things to be said. And I'm going to completely leave Justin Fields' name out of this other than me just saying it just there. And right, retaining Matt Eberflus is probably the biggest question mark on that whole thing, right? If you really thought that you were going to move forward with a brand spanking new, quarterback under center, man, you might as well have just did the whole thing, right? You might as well have gotten rid of Eberflus, brought in Jim Harbaugh, for instance, did the whole thing and made it a major preparation for this new kid coming in the door. He did half of it. So again, there's certain parts of this cycle, if we're talking about a cycle, that I'm not quite, I'm not quite 100% in full agreement with. But again, doesn't matter if I am. He's going to do what he feels is going to protect him and protect the squad. So I'm going to continue to watch it, and I hope that, again, everything works out and shakes out the right way. But right now, just if we're talking about the way this all shakes and is framed out, the big question mark after you get rid of Justin Fields is, wait a minute, what did you keep Eberflus for? And we're going to find out the actual answer to that at the end of this season.
Woo, you unpacked a lot there, kids.
I did. I know.
I think what's beginning to hold true is in today's NFL, as a new GM, that 3-year mark is that mark where that new GM is looking to put his stamp on that organization, whether it be his own quarterback or his coach, if not both. What I see Ryan Poles doing, and what I think he's been pretty good at doing, is insulating himself with regards to certain decisions he make to make it look like it wasn't necessarily his decision, but it falls upon someone else's shoulders, i.e. Eberflus. You ask, why did he keep him? He kept him because he was able to keep an entire locker room together when it was in his most tumultuous point. So he gave him an olive branch for this coming season while he makes a move to put his stamp on the organization by bringing in his own quarterback. Now, with that being said, he also went and got an offensive coordinator and offensive staff. That's where the insulation comes in at. So whatever occurs this season, less the playoffs, and find Eberflus escorted out of the door, he already has his new head coach in the building. That's the insulation part of it. And again, it could be conspiracy theory. It could be some truth or fact to it. We don't know. We won't know until this coming season plays out and how everything shakes out in it. But this guy is intent on, this is the year that he intended on putting his stamp on the organization as a GM. And he's done that now because he's getting ready to draft his quarterback, and he's rocking with the coach that he felt was able to galvanize and keep the troops together when it had some tumultuous times from week 4 all the way through the end of the season. What you say, Shawn?
Well, he's kind of done both. Like he's here to break curses and all that stuff, but he's repeating the cycle. All right, to a degree. Now you're getting a rookie quarterback, or you had a rookie quarterback, or you had a rookie quarterback that wasn't yours, and now you got a new quarterback with a guy who's probably going to be on the hot seat if this thing doesn't work out. It happened the last couple of things. All right, the one thing, the difference with that, and that's a fact. I mean, whether you like it or not, that's a fact. That is exactly what he's done. If you look at the last couple of quarterbacks, however, what he's done, he's brought in people with experience for this new quarterback. That has not been done. Okay, that has not been done. You have an actual play caller. Okay, you had.
But yes, it has. Right. So I'm going to throw it right back at you, but just think Trubisky and Matt Nagy. Right.
Matt
So
Nagy
they brought in a guy to do that.
Okay, Matt Nagy called what a couple of games. I said
He wasn't.
Guys.
You're right. You're right.
That was all Andy Reid who gave him a couple of games. Now, if you said if this was Eric Bieniemy, well then maybe a different story. But Matt Nagy had a couple of games, and so technically, yeah, but realistically, you're getting proven guys. All right, let me say that you got proven guys now. You've got a guy who's turned around a quarterback, who's developed Geno Smith. You've got a guy who was a quarterback coach. You got a guy who's an offensive coordinator in Brown, if I'm not mistaken, Thomas Brown. Okay, who applied here. So you're getting proven people for this new quarterback, unlike the previous quarterbacks, the previous situation. So it's kind of half one and the kind of half of the other. So it's interesting, and that maybe that's the way he's going to break it. Okay, but I told you before, I felt that he had a conversation. Okay, I felt he had a conversation with Nagy, with Eberflus, saying, "Hey, look, I'm going to gut your team. First year is going to be god awful. Rebuild it. I got to get an offense together, and he goes, I don't know how good the offense is going to be, and after that, after we rebuild the defense and get 24, will be the first year I can truly evaluate you. I'll take the heat for 24, for 22, gutting this defense. You take the heat for 23, depending on what I can get for this offense. And 24, I can truly evaluate you. And I think that's the situation that we're in."
Okay, Kedz is going to grab some super chats. I could opine on everything that was said, but let's get to the people that's contributing right now. Kedz, if you don't mind. Brian, don't put anything up, man. He's just doing super chats.
I got you guys. Hey, No Maniacs, thanks for joining us. My guy Daryl Gibson, OG No Maniac, has to say this: KA. I'm not sure what initials those are. If somebody else is smarter than me, clue me in. Keenan Allen. Thank you. I'm slipping. Keenan Allen, DJ Moore are not long-term answers. You had two number one picks 2 years in a row. You will yield 2 blue chip players, quarterback, right tackle. That's what his thoughts are. I'm with you, Daryl. I wouldn't go RT, but there's no chance they aren't going QB. I don't know what rest of you guys, if you guys want to touch on Daryl's super.
No, DJ Moore's on long term. Answer. He's 25 years old.
But they didn't lock him down, right? So
He's got
they
a year
still
left
got
on
to
his
go
contract.
back. Yeah, he's still got a year.
You don't have to. I mean, come on, you don't have to extend the guy in the middle of his contract. That's why it's a contract. You have until it's over. Over? Did you say over? No. They have until it's time, or if they feel like it. And listen, if DJ continues to have and they already talked about it. They mentioned DJ Moore in an extension. So yeah, he's coming. He's got 1 year left. You saw what they did with Billings. They didn't even wait for his first year to be over before they extended him. They're going to work on something for DJ Moore. He is the dude's 25, going to be 26 years old. Come on, man. That's another good 4 to 6 years of top-notch wide receiver play.
If he chooses
Yeah,
to stay.
he's going to turn 27 here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, 27, 28, 29, 30. That's 4 years. Keenan Allen's 31. All right, that's 4 years, and you get another 2 years of him being, average and taking a step back to the younger guys. Come on, man. Another 3 year deal, 4 year deal, and we're good.
Daryl Gibson, all I can say to that is I hope that, because it takes two to tango, I hope he resigns and does an extension here when it's his time to do it. So all I can say is I hope, man. And as far as the right tackle goes, I've said this a couple of times. If it's me, I'd probably get that right tackle and then slide what's his name? Darnell Wright over to the left.
Right, sorry.
That's just me, man. But those are my virtues. But we got another super chat to get to, if you don't mind, kids.
Got you. Our guy Ken Book of World, $2 super chat. Poles is a good BSer, but there's truth in his BS.
I think.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead. No, man.
No, you want to go ahead. You do that, man.
It just brings me back to a good old Paul Rudd movie, but I'll leave that alone. In any event, yeah, it's line season. He's doing a great job of weaving his words into the ether in between, right? So I'm trying my best not to take everything he says as law. I am going to give Ryan Poles a lot of respect in saying that one of the most refreshing parts about having him as a GM is just his ability to be forthwith and transparent with most of the things that most of the stuff that he's giving us. Even then, in his transparency, we have seen stuff like, I want to keep Roquan Smith, and then Roquan goes. So, it's hard to take.
Yeah, but Roquan asked for a trade, bro. He's like, I want out of here.
Well, that was after he asked for the trade when he said that stuff, though, right? So after he asked for the trade,
it was different.
You think? Okay,
I thought it was.
I don't know. In any event, there's been some double speak, but for the most part, he's been pretty forthwith. And then I compare that to the previous organizations that have been in and around the Chicago Bears, and man, I'm so happy it's not Matt Nagy word salad or Ryan Pace hiding behind a corner peeking in. You know what I mean? Like that's the type of stuff that I'm much happy I'm very happy we're past and beyond. And I give the guy I give the devil his due in this respect. He at the very least gives us just enough to make heads or tails of what's going on.
Well, let me touch this really quick, and we gotta get out of here so we can get to this last topic, man. I would say, just to be real brief about it, King, I think a good GM needs a little bit of BSer in him. Be quite frank with you. You got to have a little bit of that in you. Does it take away from your integrity with the fan base? Some people might say yes. I might say, I don't think he's lost integrity with me. I don't take him at face value anymore. He's tongue in cheek with me now. You know what I mean? Just based on how everything played out. I'm not upset with him about anything. It's his virtues, decisions that he makes. Those are the decisions that he makes. But I digress. King, thank you for the contribution. Let's get to this last subject, man, because this might get a little bit interesting. Is there a last move, kids, up Magic Johnson's sleeve in order to try to pry this number one pick away from Ryan Poles, or is Ryan Poles is he ironclad on keeping this spot?
I think the last move Magic Johnson has is a baby skyhook. I think that's what that looks like. Unfortunately, in this scenario, Shaquille O'Neal coming around the corner and he's just swatting that baby out into the stands. So I don't think he's got any tricks left to play. I really don't. I think the real trick at this present moment is Ryan Poles. If Ryan Poles has a trick up his sleeve, then maybe Magic might pull a trick out of his too, right? Like it's about that simple. This at this present time, whereas before there was a little bit of ambiguity. At this present time, these first 3 picks in the draft holistically rolled through Ryan Poles's. He's got full control. There's no questions about this. Full, holistic, totalitarian control over these first 3 picks of the draft. If he decides to make a move and trade out, that's a decision he has to make. That decision could be made again in a situation where where Caleb goes up to him and says, "Hey, look, I want to go elsewhere. Cool, let me wheel and deal." Or maybe he falls out of love with Caleb and falls in love with another guy that he zeroes in on. I don't think Magic Johnson at this present, if Magic Johnson had tricks, man, he should have been dealing cards a long time ago and waving wands a couple weeks back before Justin got moved, because that's when things were ambiguous. That's when you could have come in and said, "Hey, like, you have options." That option's gone now. There's folks out there who would love to say Tyson Bagent. Tyson Bagent will be the option, and then you can get another quarterback. I just don't see it. You had a quarterback on the roster that you could move things around. Now you don't. You let him go. So you have to get a quarterback. If Caleb Williams is not the top quarterback in this class, I would be very surprised, given that's almost a consensus at this point. So, I don't know what kind of Lucky Charms Magic Johnson got, but he needs clovers and rainbows. He needs, like, you name it. He needs all of that, and he needs to put that in a pot of gold and present that to Ryan Poles. And I can almost guarantee he'll do something like that anyhow come draft day. But I just don't see Ryan moving at this point.
Good, Keith.
Well, I think there's always a possibility. We won't find out until draft day. And I really think it's all going to be predicated on tomorrow's pro day with a particular quarterback that has his pro day tomorrow. Based on the information that they'll get tomorrow, as well as further evaluations after tomorrow's pro day, whatever's going to happen will be on or before the clock on draft day. And essentially, I think the only last piece of trick that Magic would have is he's going to have to come up off of a 2026 first round pick. That would be the only thing I could see to get him to move up off of that number 1 spot and not take who we think he's going to take.
Go ahead, Shawn.
There's still a lot of play, man, and you guys are not seeing it. I don't mean the panel, I mean everybody. If Caleb Williams decides to cancel his visit with Chicago, that is a possibility. That is a possibility. He already pushed it back. That is a possibility, which means they don't have it.
Shawn, just before you get going on that, man, I just want to have another little bit of information. They're planning on doing installs with him when he comes.
That's what I heard.
So that's
what. But the question was, is there one last play? All right, this is what Matt Eberflus said today. He said we're going to continue installs. So yeah, but there's one last play. If that's the thing, obviously they have to be in cahoots with Magic. I mean, a guy knows a guy knows a guy knows a guy knows a guy, and if he wants to go to Washington, he can cancel that visit. You're asking how likely? Not very, but that's still a possibility. It's still a possibility because no one has he can't. No one's going to trade for him, and if he only goes to Washington, and they're the only ones with his medicals, those are the only ones the Bears can trade with. It's the only one anyone will trade with. Will trade for Caleb because without his medicals. He still has some power by the fact that he didn't take his medicals. And if he cancels his trip to Chicago, and again, it might not happen. All right. But there is still that chance. And that's Magic's last play.
Well, I'll just I'll just end this conversation with this, man. Sean's right. There's still 20 some odd days to play out. Things could happen, but I'll put some icing on this with this. I think he'll be. It's probably a cold. You have to probably pry that out of Ryan Poles' cold dead hands, man. I think he's taking that pick and it's going to be Caleb Williams, and I don't even think he's willing to answer the phone anymore. However, we do have on Thursday, I believe it is, on the 28th, we do have Jaden Daniels' pro day. And I like to see the contingency down there and how they're interacting with him. And, I want to hear if some of the same things are happening that happened at Caleb Williams' pro day. Did they take him out? They spend time with him the same way that they did? I think that will be telling. Because if they do similar or the same things with Jaden Daniels that they did with Caleb Williams, that means that they're still keeping their options open. We don't know how well Jaden Daniels can impress them when they go down there. We just don't know. But it looks to me, and this is right now as of what's today? The
26th.
The 26th. As of March 26th, you probably got to pry that pick out of Ryan Poles' cold, dead hands. And so before we get out of here, you guys, let's give some shout outs and some pleasantries. Before we do that, we got one more super chat from Vic Perez, kids.
Our guy Vic Perez, $10 super chat. Thanks for coming out there, Vic. Hey guys, switching gears. Wanted to get your take on Deion Sanders proclaiming his sons aren't going to play in certain cities, saying it's going to be an Eli. Now
we did that yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah, we touched on that on yesterday's show a little bit, Vic. Thanks for coming through. By all means, take a listen to yesterday's show. We'd appreciate that. At the same time, I'll give you, my 2 cents, mostly as a father. If Deion says that's what he's going to get his kids to do, I don't blame him for a second, right? Like, I not for a second. We did touch on the NIL money case scenario a little bit and how it's going to affect and potentially change the way that the top of the draft looks as we move forward into the future. So these are going to be, situations like this, I think, are going to become a lot more commonplace, especially when players can turn around and go, hey, you know what? Like, I'll just spend another year at college and make a bunch of cash. Cool. Like, I can go back another year. I can do an extra year, make another $11 million like Caleb. Don't really have to rush into the NFL, considering that I'm going to a team that I don't really want to go to. We'll see who's available next season. And I don't blame him for a second. I think a lot of these things need to be renegotiated. I think the NFLPA needs to get with the NIL and start to iron some of these things out, sooner than later, because issues can arise as we move forward.
Vic Perez, just to respond to that, I think he even went further today and said that his kids are only playing for the Cowboys. I think the Ravens, I think maybe 2 other teams. I can't remember right off the top of my head, but he got even more specific than he was when he made this statement. So I believe him when he says it. You know what I mean? And I don't blame him, because, that's their future, man. You see too many people's fortunes just go to the wayside just because they get drafted to the wrong team with the wrong kind of infrastructure on how to bring up young football players. And that's unfortunate, and our organization is one of them that are looked at in that light, be quite frank with you. And that's unfortunate too. But hopefully Ryan Poles is right about what he says about wanting to change the culture and stop that trend and reverse everything that's been going on. And I hope he does. I'm going to be rooting for him to do that, because it needs to happen, man. We've had kind of a black eye. We're a black eye organization. We got a bad reputation for different reasons, and I believe we've earned it. And so I just want to respond to Vic. Thank you for the contribution, man. I appreciate it. But let's get finished with some pleasantries, kids, before we get out of here.
Right on. Jose Sanchez, thanks for coming to the show, brother. Saw most of your chats here. Hopefully I've responded to the vast majority of them. Glad to have all maniacs in the chat, just causing a whole bunch of ruckus. So much inquiry, so many questions, and hopefully we'll have a little bit more answers once this draft is through and clear. In the meantime, I'm super stoked that you guys would spend your afternoon with us here at the Nomad Network on Nomad Live. I'm having a blast with my homies here, the Bishop, Shawn Sierra, aka Greg, and my guy Nomad. We're gonna we'll be here every day doing it for you, Monday through Friday. And down to you, Bishop. Bear down.
Everybody in the chat, thank you very much for hanging out with us for a little over an hour. We do appreciate it. As always, I love chopping up with my guys here on the panel. Nomad, Kedz, Chris in the back, and Brian as well. And my man, the SuperBack. I am not calling you Greg. Therefore, but as always, it's always great to chop it up and talk Bear football, you know. And I'm just gonna leave you guys with this today. Have a safe rest of your day.
You know, someone put in the chat that they're not going down to Jaden Daniels. They're leaving right from Orlando. Ryan Poles said that yesterday. So for someone who said, I don't know if it was Illinois Jones or someone said they're not going to Jaden Daniels pro day. They're going to Jaden Daniels pro day. Ryan Poles said that. If it wasn't watching the interview yesterday, he said he's not going to Drake May's pro day. All right. He said the quarterback coach, I think the OC are going to go, but he's not going to Drake May's. So that's it. Everyone else, guys, have a wonderful day. I love talking football with my guys. It's awesome. Get to do this. So do me a favor, enjoy your day. All right. I always say, like I say on my show, do yourself a favor. Send someone you haven't seen in a long time or talked to in a long time, one of your peoples. Send them a quick text. Just say, hey, what's up? Just want to say hi. Make sure. I know we talk football, but we all have lives. And do yourself a favor. I guarantee you, if you text someone you haven't talked to in a minute, it'll make their day. All right. So go make someone else smile today. All right. Other than that, I'm out. Nomad.
Hey, man. I appreciate everybody for joining the show, man. We had 100 and maybe 30-something people. Hopefully that's reflected in the likes. And if there's anybody within the sound of my voice that has not subscribed to either the Nomad Network or the Sports Zone Chicago, we would greatly appreciate you for doing so, man. We would really love that support from you, man. And it's these whole conversations, man. We got almost 30 days to fill up, these weeks with content, man, so that guys are go out and get Nomad some solid colored socks. I'm like, what the hell is he over here snickering about?
That's what them super chats are for. Hey?
Yeah, give me solid colored socks, man.
Sock money.
Right, man. I just know that, man. But hey, once again, we appreciate you guys, man. If you consider liking and subscribing to the channel, to each one of our channels, whether it be Nomad, the Nomad Network, or Sports Zone Chicago, we would greatly appreciate it. You guys, we'll be back tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat station, man. But before we get out of here, I'd like to leave you guys with these famous words. Love, peace, and hair grease, y'all.
Peace, y'all.
Bear down. Fun. This ain't work. Yay, yay.
Boom.